your plans. And don't tell us about bringing yam from Ghana. Don't tell us that's your plan to resuscitate this economy, to get the economy going again. We've asked you to share your crime plans. They come back with the same old, same old. Rodney Charles had brought the motion in Parliament about crime, runaway crime in the country. And the minister stands there and he says, I have done this, I've done that, I've done the other, I'm going to do this, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. But nothing has worked. No new plan, no ideas, the same old, same old, same old. With the economy, say, well, you're real bacchanal. Only bacchanal, you're right. Lies, lies, not just bacchanal, lies. They lie every time they speak. So we are in the Parliament. They tell us we didn't help them pass bills to fight crime. Well, I think Sean mentioned some of it tonight, some of you did, and in the Parliament answer, you lie, that is lie, and more lie. We supported them in over 15 pieces of legislation, man. Why are you lying? And they come back and lie again on the same lie. So they lie upon lie upon lie until they can't remember which was the first lie, so they could never find their way to go forward. So John tells us the first thing we did when we came into government was to shut down something called facial recognition at the airport. You hear lie? More lies. So I was able, luckily, to quickly get a press release that Captain Gary Griffith had put out in 2017, responding to the same lie from Stuart Young. And Gary Griffith said, in 2017, you know, he says there was never any authorization or any discussion to shut down anything known as facial recognition. Tonight I can't go through all the lies because I say there are many other things we need to talk about. I want to take 1 minute, please, because we have been continuing our screening of the candidates, because I know many of you send me text, email, and phone call, put out the candidates early, put them out so they can be working. Thus far, we have already named. You ready for candidates? I trust you will give them help and support, because our work now is on the ground in the field with the boots on. So I announced 2 of our candidates before, and I want you to understand how the vision is as we go forward. When I say the vision, not division, the vision. We have to work together. And so the screening committee has been meeting, we've been screening, we've been asking executives to come in, and we're taking the views of many. There have been so many good people who have put forward their names. I want to thank all the nominees who have put their names forward. And you know, if you're not chosen, that is not the end of your life. Many are called, but for each seat, only one can be chosen. But there is a space and a place and a role for everyone in our great party. There have been many things that we have to do. So do not be discouraged if you were not the one selected. I named already brilliant young attorney at law serving in the Senate for San Fernando West, Sean Sobers. We have also named Kenya Charles. And tonight, as we continue the screening, I want to present 2 more candidates tonight. And remember, it's our great party, and these people will represent us. And I want to name, first of all, Senator Tahaka Obika. Tahaka is an economist, a banker, and lecturer by profession. He has emerged from service to the people. He's committed to the development of all citizens of TNT. He's an alumni of Presentation College and of the UWI, and he's also a proud son of Point 14. Tonight we name him as a candidate for Point 14. Taka holds a BSc in Economics from UWI. He also has an MBA in finance from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Admin. He serves, as you know, in the Senate as a UNC senator, and he's forever holding the government to account. He has also served as a lecturer at the TNT Hospitality and Tourism Institute, head of operations, Central Finance Facility, Cooperative Society Limited, and senior credit analyst, Cooperative Banking, Republic Bank Limited. But you know, Taka is also a writer and a storyteller. So in the days to come, we will learn more about him and his commitment and service to the people. Welcome to Haka Obika as our candidate for point voting. I would like to present to you now a young woman, another candidate. Well, Kenya is already named, so I want to give a new name. Kenya, you walk with your posse. Well, that's very good. Excellent. I came from the local government governance. I started in the politics as a alderman in the then St. Patrick County Council. So I've served, you know, at each level. And I want to name a young councillor tonight as a candidate. She's a two-time councillor, so she knows the governance at that level. And there's also an incentive for those who work hard along, not everyone, but local government councillors, you have a place too in the big house, the Red House. So tonight I want to name Michelle Benjamin, Michelle is a current councillor for Hindustan St. Mary's, serving her second term. She was raised and educated in this community. She attended the Cohen Hamilton Secondary and Southern Community College. She went on to obtain a diploma in computer studies from the School of Accounting and Management. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental and Natural Resource Management and Biology from the University of the West Indies. She is family-oriented, active member of the Baptist community. She's affiliated with several NGOs and youth groups. She has been involved with the UNC for a number of years, and she has served and is still serving as the chairwoman of the Maruga Tableland Constituency Executive. After she graduated from university, she immediately started work to improve lives of others, supporting residents through difficult periods and contributing to local events. As a councillor, she is passionate about providing a better future for our local community. She has added value to the quality of life of the Burgesses and improved her community. So here we present you vibrant, educated, and talented Michelle, who plans to work and today, as we congratulate all the candidates, I want to thank again the others, the nominees, members of our great party, who put their names forward to become candidates. So thank you all, and we wish these young people and the not so young ones all the best to bring home the various seats in which they are being held. Please give them a round of applause. So we will continue to roll out our candidates, we will continue the screening, we will remain united and go forward. But we are very conscious of what is happening in Guyana. We are very conscious of the history of the PNM when it comes to elections. And we have to look very carefully at threats to our democracy. So it is very critical in this election We must remain ever vigilant. We must remain ever vigilant to ensure that they don't thief the elections. So we have to be united. We have to train our teams to work in the various polling stations. And we see what is happening in Ghana. We are very concerned. And we will work and do our best to ensure that the will of the people of Ghana is what comes forward. We have seen concerns raised by CARICOM, concerns raised by international observers about irregularities, and the concern about possible electoral fraud raised by the United States. We hope for a resolution soon that the will of the people of Ghana is upheld. And whilst we are concerned about Ghana, we must be very concerned about Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight I call on the government that they must take every step they can to ensure that there are international observers for general election 2020 in Trinidad and Tobago. These observers must be present to ensure that the process is monitored, because our election must be free, it must be fair, and it must be free from fear. So I call on government to start from now to put the process in place to bring international observers to monitor election 2020 in Trinidad and Tobago. My colleagues have spoken about the energy sector, they've spoken about the crisis in the economy. I want to deal with one aspect of that, and it has to do with the government presiding over the collapse of our economy. Instead of finding creative ways to create revenue streams, their only plan has been and still is to tax and to borrow. Do you know today the public sector that under the Rowley government stands at $122 billion. Not million, $122 billion, and they're going to borrow more. This is the highest ever public debt, sector debt, in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. The latest Central Bank Economic Bulletin on page 24 tells us $122 billion in public sector debt. I remember when they came in 2015, they accused us of borrowing. They said we were running on fumes, we had maxed out the overdraft, and every manner of things, all of which were lies. But tonight I want to remind you, we didn't borrow for friends, financiers, Farris and Foster. We didn't borrow for the Youngs. We borrowed to develop TNT. We borrowed to create jobs. We borrowed to ensure the safety of our citizens. And I want you to remember, we created over 50,000 new jobs. And we did that without raising a single tax. This government today has a bill before the Parliament to introduce the Revenue Authority to do what? To tax you and tax you and tax you. And in that bill, the Minister of Finance and every step of the way in that bill is involved in that process. I serve notice, as we did before, we will abolish the property tax. And we will. The proposed Revenue Authority, we will not support it. The BIR can be made efficient enough to collect the taxes we don't, Minister of Finance, inside your business. They want to get into your tax businesses in the same way they've brought a spy bill. They want to get every WhatsApp you send, every email you send, every text messages in your personal devices, your phones, your emails. They want to get into your personal life. You know why? Because you have an AG who doesn't understand the law of a country, who says there is no right to privacy. So they brought a spy bill, an interception of communications amendment bill. I have served notice and we do so again. We will not support that bill at any point in time. No support. So the laws they are doing is for more intrusions into your life. I found out today that the same AGU doesn't understand constitutional rights. When they say we do not support their bills, it is because the law is draconian. It is violating your constitutional rights. We try to make amendments. But the latest one I'm being told that is coming with, not yet before us, is something to do with your right to silence. This is a constitutional fundamental right that goes back from Magna Carta long before any of us were born, goes back from the common law that we inherited and we continue for democracy's protection. And the right to silence, he has asked for some kind of paper. And he wanted a paper before the commission had even completed their report about the right to silence. What's the right to silence? It is your right not to incriminate yourself. That's what the U.S. called the Fifth Amendment. That if the police call you inside a room, you have a right not to incriminate yourself. And so he is working on a law now. Got a report, as I say, before the people even finished the research, to take away your right of silence. AG, you are on your way out. You could have your right of silence and don't have it. We will never, ever support such a piece of law. We will not support it. So when they call at us in the parliament, we not supporting them, it is because it is encroaching on your fundamental rights. They say we are afraid, that's why we don't want to support these things. I told them on last day in Parliament, I said, listen, the only thing we are afraid of is that you form back the government, so we're going to do everything we can, legally and politically, to make sure it does not happen. Must not happen. So economy in a crisis, but let's crisis in the economy. So I want to share something with you. I said we did do borrowings, every government does. That was not to benefit friends and family and financiers and the youngs. I've already talked to you about $1 million man, the Farisal rental man. Today I want to talk to you about the youngs. And you will be shocked to know the first thing this government did when they came into office, the Minister of Finance came to Parliament to increase government borrows by $50 billion. That's the first thing. They came to Parliament. They amended 3 pieces of legislation to increase the borrowing limits. So you could borrow up a certain amount under these 3 laws. And the first thing they came was to do what? Borrow. Increase in statutory borrowing under Development Loans Act. It was 30 billion. You couldn't borrow more than 30 billion. They raised it to 45 billion. They increased the borrowing limits under the External Loans Act. It was 15 billion, they raised it to 30 billion. This is a million and thing, you know. This is billions and billions we speak about. They increased the borrowing limit under the Guarantee of Loans Act from 25 billion to 45 billion. So what did they do? They borrowed, as I said, they increased the borrowing limits by $50 billion. And not happy with that. 50 billion borrowed and spent, you know, in their 4+ years. They now have another piece of law in the Parliament to once again change the law to increase the borrowing limits. So you had increased it by 50 billion. They have a piece of motion in Parliament to increase once again to borrow an additional 10 billion. So 50 plus 10. And they ain't finished yet. After they borrow all this money, the murder toll is the second highest in the history of our country. The highest level of unemployment. The worst roads. The cutting of the social services, food cards, baby grants, schools closed, healthcare system failing. 50 billion later and more, but these are only the ones under the statutory limits. They have taken many other loans, and we'll share it with you as time goes. Today, I want to talk about the youngs and borrowings. There is a company that is known as NCB Global Finance Limited. The CEO of the company is the brother of the minister, the all-purpose minister. All-purpose minister. Angus Young, he's the CEO. Nothing is wrong with that. People have to live, run businesses, run businesses. NCB Global Finance is like other banks, and they're involved in the business of giving loans. Like other commercial banks, when you give a loan, what happens? You pay interest. So interest is what? Profit. You don't get money to borrow free. You get it because you have to pay interest. So let me share with you what has happened since this government came. This NCB Global Finance has been the, what's the word, boy? The Venice say it, jefe, is it jefe? Banking jefe of this government for loans. Premier choice of borrowings by the Rowley government. I'm just going to read for you 6. We only know 6, and then I have 2 for you as a bombshell tonight. In July 2016, NCB Global Finance was selected as a bank of choice by the NFM, which advanced a US 10 million loan. NFM, government agency, NCB Finance, lending NFM, a government agency, 10 million US, 10 million US. When NFM takes a loan, what happens? We have to pay interest. So far, I have not been able to find out how much is the interest, but you know, the truth will always come forward. 8 December 2016, the National Insurance Board of TNT invested US 35 million in Guardian Holdings Limited. You know who was the facilitator and the arranger for that loan? The young man, NCB Global Finance. From September 2015 to present, NCB Global Finance had forex transactions with Trinidad Nitrogen Company Limited, total sum of $14.7 million US dollars. Who is Trinidad Nitrogen? State agency. In April 2019, the Trinidad and Tobago Tourism Business Development Company added NCB Global Finance as an approved financial institution for loans to hotels under 50 rooms and tourism-related business. Counting, that's the fourth that I know about. And this was an answer to a question filed by Dr. Munilal in the Parliament that they gave these answers. On 15 November 2018, on the same day, Prime Minister Rowley put himself as the boss of Eurocap to be under the control of the Office of the Prime Minister. Eurocap entered into a loan with guess who? NCB Global Finance. For how much? $180.3 million. So NCB lent to Eurocap $180.3 million. And so they're making profits from what? The interest payments. 6. On 15 June, NCB Global Finance loaned Petrotrin, same Petrotrin on here, US $16.127 million to repay a loan taken by Petrotrin from Republic Bank. So you're borrowing from NCB to pay that loan that was already taken. So what this means, these 6 I've told you, and there are more. We don't have all, but we're getting people. You know, people are so happy to give us information now because they're so fed up at this government. This wicked government, they're sending us the information. We are getting more leaks that you could find in a sieve. So, those 6 I've talked about. This Rowley government has borrowed about $357 million from NCB Global Finance. We do not know what are those interest rates so far. So we don't know how much money you taxpayers are paying. Don't think it's Rowley paying, it's your tax dollars paying in interest payments to NCB. Now add today 2 more. So far that we knew about because of the question in the Parliament, 357 million. I want you to add 2 more today. I have in my possession now 2 cabinet notes and minutes. And Kevin will try to put them up on the screen for us. But I'll talk it through whilst he puts it. So I have these 2 cabinet notes. The first one has to do with a loan taken by government for MTS, National Maintenance Company. The loan is in the sum of $400 million. And what is interesting is this note, this is a minute which confirms. On the same day, this note is taken to cabinet. Okay? The minute is confirmed of the same day. Though I was a prime minister in how cabinet operates, so my colleagues will remember. You bring a note this week, we consider it in the cabinet, and next week, approve, so get time. You come in to borrow $400 million. You bring the note today, this big fat note. And same day it is approved. So the note is, the matter was considered by Cabinet on the October 9, 2019, and the decision confirmed by the Cabinet, guess what? October 9, 2019, same day it's there. $400 million loan from NCB for MTS. It doesn't end there, you know. So same day, a cabinet sits and considers a cabinet note for $400 million, and same day. So you push it in, and you pull it back out, and say, Mr. Young, $400 million government is going to borrow from you. That's what this is. But that is not all that is bad with this. You know what it is? They are free to borrow and go, but of course you have to ask questions, you know. In this same cabinet note, it is for a fixed rate loan over a period of 9 years. Appendix 1. You know, I couldn't believe it. You know, I had 3 people help me because I'm not a great person with arithmetic. I'm very good at everything else, but I need help. So the calculators. On Appendix 1, Appendix 1 of this, give me 1 second, please. A lot of numbers in here. Appendix 2, I'm sorry. It's there, you know. Total interest payment to NCBGF, $164.650 million. It's here. $164.6 million over the period. The loan is to run for 9 years. Half yearly. You know, twice a year then. You will have to pay the interest payments. A total of 18 payments over the 9-year period of this adds up to 164 point, what did I tell you, 6. It's here, let me read it, it's so tiny. $164.650 million. Listen, I better give up my job. I think you all better give up your jobs too. So we had Faisal rental is 23 million. Look at this man, a young man, you know. A young man in that period from this one loan to the government, $164.6 million. I read for you before the other 6 loans, we don't know the interest rate on those. Remember? I read out 6. You all remember? And I'm now adding 2 more. So that's the first one. $400 million, man. And then the second one, cabinet note again. This one is a period of 2 years. The date of the second cabinet note is, same story, October 31, 2019. Matter considered. Matter confirmed by the cabinet. Same date, October 31, 2019. To borrow $25 million US. Period of 2 years with an interest rate of about, 3.25%, 2 years. Over this 2 years, from October last year, 2 years, you know how much is the interest they're going to payment profit? They're going to make $11 million on this one. It is less because it was only over 2 years. The last one was 165.6 over 9. So what's going on here? What is happening here? You're borrowing all this money, yet we cannot see any development. You're shutting down people losing their jobs. And so I have some questions. I have some serious questions on this matter. But you know the matter gets juicier and juicier. What they say, what's and what's up? Because they do not have an asset base. This company, for 2019, their statement of whatever you call it, financial statements, their asset base is a mere, I'll find it before I'm done, a very small asset base. But in effect, when we add up all this money, it's nearly $1 billion in the government, you know. But the asset base is nowhere near $1 billion on their statement. So where are they getting the money from? Well, that's very interesting. In one of these things, for the US 25 million, NCB Global Finance borrowed the 25 million to lend to the government. They borrowed 25 million from a company that was First Caribbean, who stood as security for that loan. So they're borrowing to lend to the government. And therefore, again, the questions, why is this happening? Why is this happening? In total, NCB Global Finance has led our government the 357 million I spoke of before, and the Petrotrin loan, in total 927 million, which is about $1 billion. And I didn't mention the fees and so on. There are fees, whatever. These are the loans. So the questions are, First Caribbean, you borrow from them and you lend to the government. But some of these banks also bid. They also put out bids to get to be the loan, the person to make the loans. So how is it that this NCB borrowing from one of those, and yet still their package is better than one of those banks they're borrowing from to lend to the government? The questions arise. The total interest payments on the MTS loan and the petrol loan and the ask interest, only 2 out of the 6 or 8 that I mentioned, is $175.6 million these people need on these 2 loans alone. Profit interest payments. How does NCB Global Finance, which borrows money from First Caribbean International and First Citizens, how are they able to offer lower interest rates after the NCB borrowed from the same banks? How? Is it a coincidence that NCB Global Finance was able to offer the lowest interest rate in all these transactions, outbidding the well-established institutions as First Citizens, Republic Bank, Scotia Bank, Royal Bank, and some merchant bank? According to NCB Global Financial Statement for 2019, I was looking for that, their asset base is $383 million. But you've lent the government what? Nearly $1 billion, making a few hundred millions. How is it that a company with such a small asset base is able to lend to this government, TT, almost $1 billion? NCB Global Finance has one of the smallest balance sheets of the well-established financial players in D&D. Yet it was able to offer all those financing arrangements on a fully underwritten basis, meaning that NCB guarantees that government will receive the full sum of the funding in one disbursement. All those millions in one shot. One shot, where are you getting it from? I'm not accusing you, just answer us. In the MTS loan, NCB submitted its bid very late, 5 days before the note was presented to the cabinet. Can the Minister of Finance indicate the date in which the invitation to bid went out to all the other financial institutions, and what's the dates on which they submitted their bids? Did NCB Finance submit its bid last? And you know, if they did submit last, you have other questions. I won't go into that tonight. You have other issues to answer. Did the Minister of Everything, Stuart Young, disclose to the cabinet that his brother is the CEO of NCB when they were considering all these matters in the cabinet? Did he disclose that his brother is the CEO of this company benefiting from these millions to provide the government with loans? Did the Minister Young recuse himself? So one, he must disclose, and two, he must recuse himself from the cabinet meeting when all matters relating to these NCB loans were for discussion. Did he recuse himself? Did he recuse himself from the cabinet when the decision was made that the company which his brother is the CEO will make a profit of about $175.6 million in interest payments only just for the MTS and Petrotrin, and then the other ones as well? We will find out. So you know what, they come, I hear you walking on Marabella line, and walking and giving people $500 and say, vote for me, vote for me. It started. But the people of this country are not fools. For almost 5 years you have suffered, everyone. You have come to throw out a handout when you've suffered, people lost their jobs, so much has happened. People are not stupid. Come 2020 general election, we are voting them out. Rowley must go. We must go. We must go. We must go. Must go. So I had something to share with you about the Cougar Children's Hospital. They're talking about they want to send 150 patients down there. But there is an internal memo, and Kiva probably has it, from the North Central Health Authority. So I don't lie, and I bring evidence, I bring documents. I don't just work with the hearsay and DC. North Central Authority. To Ms. Vanessa Cummins, Manager Business Planning. 10 February 2020. Issues arise in retransfer to Cougar Hospital. You remember they come and say, this virus going about, we're going to put people down there, la 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 la. Living in fantasy land as usual. La la la. La la la. This says references are made this transfer issue to Cougar. And here what it says. Without the allocation of dedicated medical teams for the Cougar Hospital, please note the following issues. It is highly improbable for the Eric Williams medicine staff to go to Cougar because we are stretched as far as possible. Each consultant has a minimum of 2 clinics, specialty work, post-take ward rounds, procedures to their specialty related. Each consultant has an average intake of 35 to 40 patients compared to others. Note that no risk patients are admitted on the medicine. We believe there is no such thing as a low-risk patient. And they continue and continue. And the bottom line is what? We put it out online, their document, so you can see for yourself. The time will not permit us to go into detail. And then at the bottom of it is they need clarification on all of this. So, not happening. A UNC government will open the hospital at Cougar. We open the hospital. We will open that hospital. And then the plan now they have is to all the meals for, if they do get these people to Cougar Hospital, to cook all the meals up in Mount Hope and send it down the road. But first of all, who getting all the transport contracts? Some panel van, you all better get some panel vans and apply for those contracts to transport this food. There's a hospital at that Cougar, there's a kitchen. The manager, who is a former army man, Captain retired Dexter A. Horsford, I have a memo for him dated 19 February 2020 on this same issue of the kitchen. Catering for meals, C.A.N is believing we have it, from North Central. Catering for meals for the patients to be warded at the Cougar Hospital, 150 people. They had several meetings and site visits to determine if they can do this. The purpose was to determine and record all the equipment of the facility, across access layout of wards, learning the route to and from wards via kitchen. Our site visits discovered there were no small equipment. Also, listen to this, large equipment had to be retested to determine their functionality. We told them that. They put down this thing there for 4 years, going on 5. As was suggested by the manager of OSH, this was due to the extended time they were not in operation and the elapsed warranty. They lost the warranties on that equipment. We said that from day one, the longer you do not use this, that equipment is going to become so expensive now. You have to check every nut and bolt. You have to check every connection that the motor will know. They said critical, if some still there. Critical to the ability to cater meals. They want time for UDCOT official to have the equipment retested and certified for use. But you know that's not happening in this election cycle. It will happen after the UNC forms the government. And they have to ensure all equipment functioning to cater for the increase, to supply the meals, service and repair all equipment when necessary, replace damaged or non-functional, and it goes on and on and on. Not happening before elections. So they come with their lies, they come all the time. And I don't know if we can take much more of this again. But I do believe that the UNC can bring back good governance to TNT. The UNC can get TNT working again. The UNC can get TNT safer again. I shared in the Parliament some of our plans, as we keep working and developing, and we welcome your ideas and suggestions about ways that we can work to deal with the criminality in the country and to get things safer again. It shows they have no plan. They're not ready to really open that hospital or to create any jobs or to do anything else. But I want to just share as I close. By the way, today I caused my lawyers to file a case in the Supreme Court against Terrence, Minister Dialexing, for defamation against me. They lie too much. I'm not going to leave them alone. So Kevin, please put up the case on the screen. I am claiming damages and costs, aggravated damages, exemplary damages, and every kind of damage you get for their lies and their untruths. This man went on national TV, radio in the campaign in December last year, local government, and he said, Kamla, he didn't say the government, my government, Kamla instructed public servants to hide the H1N1 data. You know, I'd forgotten about it, you know, but I think you asked a question in Parliament 2 weeks ago. I said, but wait, I had sent him a pre-action letter. He never replied to it. We'll be going for him. Terrence, I have court closed. I shall speak to you in court. We will have ordained court to deal with your lies. So I close now. I close. As I thank you all very much for being here. I thank you for the support you have given us before. The support that you continue to give us as we stay committed. And I want to tell you, my name is Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I love my country. Do you love your country? I am Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and I will lead you to victory in the next general election. Before you go, I want to share with you my last video of the transformation.
A new UNC government will have to bring our economy back onto a sustainable growth path, restart the diversification process away from the dominant energy sector, and restore trust in government. The roadmap for turning our economy around is our National Economic Transformation Master Plan. While diversification projects will start early into our administration, from day one, we will also prioritize stabilizing our economy. As we implement our diversification plans throughout the entire country, from St. Madeleine to Tobago to Mayaro, over at the Ministry of Finance, there will be just as much work taking place on the fiscal side to ensure stability in the economy. Our citizens may not be able to see this work, but they will feel its effects. It's here our citizens will gain a real appreciation for how the UNC shows we care for citizens. As we stabilize our fiscal position, we will reduce the tax burden on our citizens by repealing the property tax legislation, scrap the proposed revenue authority, reduce income taxes, simplify the value-added tax regime, removing food from the VAT net. These measures are extremely important. We can raise $4.5 billion to $7.5 billion in domestic revenues per year by improving the efficiency of the tax system and strengthening the Board of Inland Revenue, VAT Office, and Customs and Excise. This revenue stream will help fund our diversification projects. A UNC Ministry of Finance will take a zero-tolerance approach to corrupt and wasteful spending practices. As we rein in wasteful government spending, we will restructure our state enterprises, many of which are a huge drain on finances. We will gradually divest state enterprises which have no strategic national importance and have no prospect of viability, and transform the remaining state enterprises to publicly owned companies managed by the private sector, free from government interference. Our fiscal targets will focus on balancing the budget and stabilizing public debt at 60% of GDP. This is a powerful message and will give the business community confidence to play their role in our diversification strategy by wanting to be a part of it. Stability comes from two places. First, from the Ministry of Finance and their fiscal approach, and the second, from the monetary and exchange rate policies of the central bank. We will work with the central bank to rebuild our international reserves to a minimum of $10 billion by 2025. We will also work with the central bank to ensure our exchange rate is competitive and to create a more balanced foreign exchange market. We know what we want to do. 50,000 jobs in 5 years and doubling our non-energy exports to $5 billion by 2025. We know how we're going to do it. Let's get Trinidad and Tobago working again.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I am UNC and I am proud. God bless you and thank you very much.
So let's create the jobs so people can sustain themselves.